Hi everybody, it's Luke from FootTech. Hope you're all well. We've got a couple of scanning videos coming out for you because the most popular video that we've ever released on our YouTube channel is how to coach scanning. It's from about 2 years ago. We've learned a lot since then, which is what we'll talk about now. So we just thought that clearly people want to know more about scanning, how to coach it, what to look out for, just how to make it better for your kids, because a big problem that we see is kids are just going like this. Because they're just being told to scan, they've been told to check the shoulder with no real context, with no real understanding of what it is they're scanning for, what are they looking for. So you see kids that are doing it to almost appease coaches, and there's parents telling kids to scan because they know that a coach or a scout might see them going like this, and that's going to be a big tick in the box for them. But there's a lot of kids that are doing it without really understanding why, and that's not good because they're not learning anything. So we want to talk about that. We've got a drill for you, an activity for you that you can do with your kids, your players, which we think is a good one to use for this. We've been using it for the last few months, really easy to set up, and we think it's getting a lot of the scanning elements out there without us having to even say scan. So we'll talk about that in a second. But the the thing that kids need to learn is, what are they scanning for? Okay, it's easy for us to say as coaches, scan, check your shoulder, but what are they looking for? And fundamentally, it comes down to two or three things. They're looking for defenders, they're looking for space, and they're looking for teammates, and possibly the goal as well. Obviously, we need to score goals. That's the game. You can start getting into some of the finer details from there. You can start talking about their scanning for a defender on their teammate, as their teammate got space to pass to their front foot, back foot, whatever it might be. It might be where are the teammates looking. So where have they scanned and seen that their teammate's looking left or right, and therefore they might make that movement. That's very technical, and that's at a high level, something that we might talk about another time. But for a lot of people listening to this, you're going to be a grassroots coach, and you're going to want to try and get your kids to scan more, communicate more with their environment. So those finer details, forget them for now. Let's just focus on the biggies. Let's focus on space, teammates, defenders, and the goal. Okay, so easily the most popular video, as I said, was one that we released about 2 years ago. We'll link it in the notes for this one, just so you can take a look at that. And it's not a bad drill. It's not a bad drill. There's a lot we've learned since then, certainly from our time in Amsterdam. Back in May, we spent 5 days with Raymond Verheen, who has worked under Louis van Gaal, Gus Hiddink, Gary Speed. He's worked at the top elite level of football at World Cups, Euros, the Champions League, you name it. He's worked with some of the best players that have ever played the game. And not just that, he's also worked with youth academies and does a lot of consulting work as well. He's just a fantastic person to learn from. And learning from him, and also seeing some of the things that we're seeing and have seen over the last couple of years, we've just started to question how we're coaching scanning, and exactly how it needs to be coached, and what we need to be doing with some of our younger players, beginner players, or certainly more advanced players as well. So what we feel is that instead of telling a child to scan, and even telling a child what they're looking for, it's, can we develop activities that force the issue, that force them to scan? That's where we're looking. It's something that we learned from Raymond, and it was trying to develop unconscious habits. We want them to be checking around and communicating with their environment via scanning and other means, because we want it to become an unconscious habit. We want them just to do it without knowing they're even doing it. And this is the trick to it all. We shouldn't have to tell them to scan. We should develop activities that force the issue, as I say. So we feel that we've got an activity today for you that helps with that, where you can still question, you can guide, you can say the word if you want, but fundamentally the activity is going to be the coach here. It's going to be the thing where these unconscious habits for scanning just happen. They just happen because they just have to do it. And therefore, if you repeat this activity, variations of this activity, then you're going to have a team of players that are doing it for the right reasons. They're scanning for the right reasons. They're not just scanning and moving their head left to right and over the shoulder just because coach says to do that or mum or dad say to do that, just to tick boxes. They're actually going to be doing it to communicate with their environment and take the information that they actually need, which is going to help them with their next decision when they receive the ball. So, like I say, the idea with this one is that you can, as a coach, you can then guide, you can ask questions, you can put little challenges in there, which again just develops this unconscious habit. So we'll go through it. We'll go through the activity now. We've tested this one. We've tested it over a good few months, and we're starting to see a lot of the things that we'd hoped we'd see. You might watch this today and take bits from it, adapt it, change it. Please comment, with what you're doing. We're all here to learn. But I think that's the beauty of us as coaches, and certainly with how we reflect on things at FootTech, is the drill that we will link in the notes from a couple of years ago. At the time, we thought that was a good drill, and the kids were doing what we wanted. They were checking the shoulders and so on. But we've learned a lot since then. So it's about now taking that and adapting it and changing it and making something new that's better. It's not just nailing our flag to the mast of that particular drill of how to coach scanning and saying that's the be all and end all. That's not a good coach. A good coach is somebody that says, okay, that was my thinking, but actually since then I've learned and now I've got something new, something that's better. So let's get into it. Let's have a look at this activity and we'll go through it and we'll go from there. Obviously if you've got questions or anything, please get them in the comment section. But let's take a look at the drill now and see what we're working with. Right, we've got the setup here. We've got 3 goals at the top, which are not your traditional goals. They're going to act as passing options. So they might be your front 3, essentially, in a game. Number 1 is going to act as a blocker. Red number 1 is going to be a blocker. So not so much a goalkeeper. That number 1's job is to block the passing options. So essentially, he or she would stand in front of the goal where one of the blue players is going to try and score, in inverted commas, but essentially going to be trying passing into that goal. You've got 5 and 3 red who are acting as defenders, and then you've got 3 blue players there, 10, 8 and 7. They're going to be the attackers, and 6, 4 and 9 at the bottom. Reds, they're going to be passers and then turn into defenders. You've then got 3 goals at the bottom, which are going to be for the defenders, the red team, to score in should they get the ball. So the game's pretty simple. The Reds are going to pass to the Blues, and then they're going to chase the Blues. The Blues are going to try and, in inverted commas, score a goal in one of the top 3 goals at the end. But obviously, we're going to say they're the passing options. 5 and 3 are going to defend. And should a red player win the ball, they can then score in any of the bottom 3 goals. And again, they could be passing options. They don't have to be your traditional goals where they're going to be shooting. They can just be passing options. So that's the setup. And if you notice, we've got the players there at an angle. Because this drill, although it's good for scanning, we also think it's really good for receiving. So we're going to try and teach the players to receive the ball side on, so then they get to see the whole picture. They get to see everything, what's going on there. You don't have to do that. You could get them to stand right in front of the passer, because then you can actually coach to receive on an angle, so you can see that they're struggling. They can't see the full picture of the pitch, but you can then jump in there and coach and say, okay, what can we do? Let's stand at an angle. But that option is yours, really. Now, bonus points for anyone listening who can work out why we've only put 2 defenders in there, a 5 and a 3. Reason being is that if we put 3 defenders in there, they're just going to go player to player. So there's no need for 10, 8 or 7 to scan. What's going to happen now, because there's only 2 defenders, plus obviously the passer turning into a defender, 10, 8 and 7, if they scan, they can see if they're the one that is being marked. They can see if they're the one that's been pressed. So they're going to be looking for that defender, and they're going to be looking for the space. So if 5 and 3 have gone to 8 and 7, 10 knows, great, I've got a free run here. I can try and make a pass to those top 3 goals a lot simpler. But with having 3 players in there, 3 defenders, there's no need for them to scan. So that's the reason why we'd put the two defenders there, plus then number one at the top, but number one's staying up there. That little line across that pitch is for them to stay in. They can't come out onto the field. So it's essentially just 2 versus 3 in that middle part. Should probably say here as well, we're using 6 goals here. If you've not got that level of equipment, that amount of equipment, then by all means use cones. There's no problem. It's we've got the 6 goals, so we use them. But if you're a grassroots coach that's only got 2 goals, then just be creative with it. Cones are fine. It's no problem at all. Just whatever you've got basically to make the drill work. So let's give it a little run through, and we'll see exactly some of the things that can happen, and give you some ideas from there. So you can see there the 3 players have received the ball in different places, essentially. 10 more on the back foot, 8 more on the front foot, 7's maybe let it run past them a little bit. And these are things that you can start talking about, but it all comes down to, have they communicated with their environment? Have they scanned? Have they checked to see what's going on behind them, which can then dictate how they receive the ball, how much they need to open their body up. If 5 and 3 are tight, then maybe they need to start looking at getting the ball on the front foot. If not, then can they take it on the back foot and turn and maybe have a free run towards those top 3 goals. So we'll just let it run through again from here. So we can see the 1 is blocking the goal where 7's going towards. Notice that 8's getting closer, has gone to the bottom of that passing lane. 7 scored the goal there, I passed it to their teammate. 5 has intercepted the ball from 10, so number 5 can go try and score. And the Reds can work together. If they get the ball, they can work together. That starts to make it even more realistic, whereby the Blues need to recover the ball as fast as possible and play to a finish. The Reds, if they win the ball, they can start playing with each other. And all we do then, play to a finish, and they can set back up. And depending on the number of players you've got, you could set this up multiple times. You could have 3 attackers, 6 attackers, depending on your space, whatever you want to do. But you could maybe have this running twice, side by side. You could have maybe some players doing a different activity and have this alongside. Whatever works for you, the number of players you've got, the space you've got. But as I say, this has been one that we've used a number of times now over the last few months. The kids really enjoy it, which is probably the most important thing, but they do learn a lot from doing it. And it's just repeating it, making sure everybody has a turn to be the blockers, to be the defenders, to be the attackers, to be the passers and then defenders. Make sure everybody's having lots and lots of turns at each thing, because they learn different things from doing that. Those defenders, 5 and 3, they're still needing to scan. Once they win the ball, they need to get their heads up to understand which of those 3 goals is the best option for them at the bottom. So there's plenty of ways you can, plenty of learning happening for every single player. Number 1, even you can set them a challenge. If number 1 can get the ball and keep it with their feet, then they could maybe try a long pass down to one of the 3 goals at the bottom, or pass to a teammate, pass to another Red player who can then go score. So it just becomes more of a match situation, which is important. If we're teaching scanning, there's no point isolating it. We need it to be in a game context, and this is pretty close to a game. We've sort of just clipped part of a game here, and they play and they're scanning, but it's in context. You can start asking your players, what are they seeing? What's the object of football? We need to get those footballs to those 3 mini goals as soon as we can. So what makes it easier? What do we need to look out for? Just start asking and guiding, and all of a sudden they'll start doing it. A little challenge that I put into it was, I want you to try and get that ball to that goal as soon as possible. We have this obsession with, we must try and take on the player and make it look fancy. It's like, no, if that player's open, if one of those mini goals is open, then get the ball to it. It's a teammate, get the ball to it as fast as you can. Then all of a sudden they have to start thinking, and it's right, okay, yeah, actually if I check my shoulder first, then I'm going to know which goal's open, and that's going to make it much easier for me to get the ball to that mini goal. So use it, adapt it, talk to us, let us know what you're thinking, what you found with your players, anything you'd adapt, anything that you feel went well, didn't go well. Please just talk to us. It's a really interesting subject, something that we'll keep talking about. We've got more videos coming up around scanning, but please use it and let us know how you get on.